Well, back in the 90s, there was a trend among comic books to do quote unquote bad girls. It's just when a lot of comic book companies were doing these kind of comics where the main antagonist was a female that was usually scantily clad and would go around, do all sorts of, doing all sorts of unwomanly like things, So I decided that since we were a comic book company, and I saw a TV story about a group of nuns, an order of nuns that was practicing martial arts. They were like based in New York, and they were their order. They taught themselves to do martial arts, and I thought that was a really good inspiration to do a comic book, based on that. And I also was attending Catholic school when I was young, so I had my fair share of being exposed to nuns and priests and things like that. So, and then the Catholic religion. So it just struck me that this would be a good idea for a comic, and that's where I came up with the idea to do Warrior Nun. Of course, Simon Barry took the idea and took it in his own direction, and quite frankly, I think it actually is a much better direction than what I did. So I gotta hand it to him. He approached me, and we said, I told her, yeah, go ahead, do whatever it needs to be done. And, Dean took over from there.
And what I did, sorry, I'm just cleaning up some work. My plan has always been, my experience has always been doing feature films. And so I plan to do a feature film adaptation. And I connected with a director called AJ Anila, who's a Finnish director. And one time we were working on another project, and he just asked me like a year into our working together, what are you doing? What other stuff? And I was listing them. And when I said Warrior Nun, he just froze and went, tell me about that. And we ended up working with a Finnish writer called Eero Kutner, and AJ and Eero came up with the concept of the halo as the element that ties all the nuns together, and AJ came up with the idea of Ava as the character to bring the audience into the story. The biggest problem with the screenplay was that there is so much backstory which you needed in order to fully understand what was going on, that it almost became, it was too much. It was impossible to do. And at that point, Netflix was still, did not have a annual production budget of $14 billion. But after working on the script for several years, Netflix had grown up, for lack of a better phrase. And I'd known Simon for many years, and actually just talked to Simon because I was looking for his input on the script, how we could make it better. And he just read it and said, I'd love to do this, but as a TV show, are you interested? And I went, I thought about it for a bit and said, yeah, let's go for it. And, the next thing you know, he took it in and presented it to Netflix, and they, I'm sure, had the same reaction of Warrior Nun. Tell me more about that. It's because it's either going to be genius or a disaster, brilliance or a train wreck, one of the two. And the presentation, obviously, was the former. And 2 seasons later, I think the story's been beautifully told. Casting. I mean, I'll never forget the first time I met Alba. Was in Malaga, and I'd seen pictures of her, but to actually meet her, she was the exact image of who I had imagined Ava to be. I was just like, oh, I'm not sure if this is creepy, brilliant, beautiful, but this is exactly how I imagined her to be.
Yeah, she was perfect. She was perfect in her own. Yeah. Now, but didn't you also do a sizzle reel? I remember you did a sizzle reel too.
Well, that's the extended story. We were the extended story was we actually went out and shot, in order to do a proof of concept, a sizzle reel, we went, and originally the screenplay was set in Northern Europe, so snow, which in retrospect, much better to shoot it in the sun. Production in Malaga is much better than production in Warsaw in the winter.
Yes, Spain is much better.
Spain is a much better decision. But we went and scouted in Poland and ended up shooting in not Warsaw, in Krakow, and found an old abandoned church and shot a sequence with the character of Ava scrapping some devils. And did and basically put together a 5-minute reel where AJ explained his intent, how he wanted to do it, and used the visual effects in the story, and also then did the lookbook at the same time to have the complete package to sell the project. The sizzle reel, the visual kind of introduction, and that's the book I've been posting online. No, I mean, the concept art is all about how AJ, I mean, it's how AJ envisioned it being done. Would it actually play out like that? Who's to say, who's to know? You know, budget restrictions, timing, locations are going to dictate in the end how you shoot. So that's with an artist, and Brendan Heffernan, who's an amazing concept artist, is saying, okay, we want to see, like, imagine it's a church upside down. And Brendan's like, okay, I'll do a church upside down. And you get this amazing drawing. Could you actually shoot that? Unless you've got an amazing VFX budget, no, but it's a cool drawing. And it gives you a sense of all things being equal, if you could create this, the sophistication and the atmosphere that he wanted. You know, you could feel in those pictures, you go, I can imagine drips of water hitting my face. And if you can take that away from the image, you've done your job.
Oh, I was blown away, really. I had, of course, my the comic book version, which is, it's unique in of itself. I mean, we tried to do back in the 90s, we tried to sell it as an animated series, believe it or not. And we actually met with several production companies back then, but none of them thought it would be sellable. They just thought it was just too weird. What kind of audience are you aiming it at? Especially if it was going to be like an animated cartoon. They just didn't think it would sell. So when Dean showed me the sizzle reel, I was also blown away by that. I thought that looked great. It looked like it was really going to go somewhere. But when Simon came aboard and showed his concept of it, and I said, "Wow, this is really a great take on the character." And I think it works really well. He's building up a whole world, behind this. He's got he went to the past. He's to be able to relate with things, and he kept it. He really showed real imagination and taking the character into areas I could never have thought of. So it was really fantastic to see the final version when it came out. So, I was really hoping for season 3, because I think the story can only expand and get better from there. I'm keeping my fingers crossed.
Yeah, and the opening scene is the storylines that were unresolved, now we resolve and go forward, be it a season or a film. That's what the fandom wants. No doubt about that.
Well, the fandom wants multiple seasons. The fandom wants this as a continuation to be picked up by Apple TV or one of those, or Prime, and be 3 seasons and then a feature film. But it's a fandom, it could never die, and be like Grey's Anatomy and just go on forever.
Oh, well, I will be honest. Ava is the main character, but I tell you, Beatrice has certainly grown to be like the most interesting character of the whole series. I love all the characters, but she is the one I want to really know more about. And I really liked the second season where they went into Mother Superior's past too. I thought that was fantastic as well. She's turning out to be a very interesting character for me as well. So yeah, I mean, I like them all, but I would have to say Beatrice is probably my favorite character.
Hey, does Mother Superior carry the? No, of course not. Never mind. I say, does Mother Superior carry the Halo in the comics? But of course not. Halo doesn't exist in the comics.
That's right. The Halo concept is totally years in silence, man.
Oh my God, the backstory is all getting confusing.
Well, that's what happens when you have 200 plus issues of the comic. You got a lot of backstory. No, I'm not printing any new issues. Avatar Comics has the rights to do the comic book version. So, and I'm not sure if they've done anything. So we haven't gone to press with any Warrior Nun. So the only way to get any copies is through the back market, or through the back issue market.
And I would say it's better to leave it a mystery, because the Warrior Nun they know and the Warrior Nun from print are two very different animals.
Yes, I agree with Dean. Very different in tone and in feel.
So if anything, tell them to get the figurines, the action figurines, because there's lots of those.
Where can they get those?
You just go on eBay.
Okay.
You should be able to see that and if they're interested in the animated pilot, they can also see that on YouTube. Ugh, wow.
Yeah, I know.
Broke my pay grade. Well, for me, everyone has their own belief system. We're talking about a world where magic happens. They're supernatural creatures and things like that. And if they actually existed in real life, I mean, how would that change the nature of people's belief in religion? I mean, I really can't answer that question without any real, because I don't have any real background as far as, I just, know how to do comics, and I just try and tell a really fun adventure story, with a religious sort of the backdrop, so to, in a way, and I treat it, more like superpowers, what if religious people had superpowers, so to speak. And so that's a question I probably would better leave to theologians or people who are much better, more knowledgeable than I am. Oh, well, of course, I was very upset and devastated by it, because I figured the second season was so good, and it seemed like endless possibilities, as far as storytelling is concerned. So yeah, I was very upset, but I'm also very, I'm very proud and happy of the fan base that it's garnered and the passion that the fans of the show have. Oh, I love fan art. I mean, it's just, to me, that's a sort of the ultimate expression, for a lot of fans, is to take something that they really love and to do something with it, and I always encourage it. I think it's great, because that's where you can get some really good ideas, and sometimes they can take you into areas and places that you never would have thought on your own, so it's and also it's if it's fun for the fans, then I highly encourage it. I love it.
I'm not sure. What I do know, and Warrior Nun has already been a proven case example towards this, is that if you have belief and you keep fighting and keep going, good things will happen. And it may not always be exactly as you imagine it to be, but you will get results for your efforts. always. So don't give up.
And I was told to thank both of you for all your hard work and support for us. And I think that's all the questions that I have.
We just have to keep fighting. I think as long as we know, I know several shows have come back from cancellation because the fandom was so passionate and vocal. So I think we just have to keep up the good fight. I think eventually they'll see the error of their ways.
I agree.
Dean, do you have a message for the fandom?
Just never give up. It's not a why do I raise the tone of my voice? Just it's not a sprint, it's a marathon, and you can't give up. And I went through very, very long, dark nights with this project, and I just had the belief that it was a wonderful idea. It was a wonderful idea that needed to be made for the sole reason that I wanted to see it. That's what it comes down to. I want to see it, therefore I'm going to put up with all the nonsense to get it made. And we're just in a phase of nonsense. And as long as we stick together and in the dark days realize that they always happen, but if you stay strong and keep going, there will be rewards. Always.
Well, I appreciate both your all's time.
Thank you so much for inviting us.
And thank you for having us. Yay.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
In this life and the next.
In this life.